Have you ever wondered what could make someone seek only the divine, giving up all worldly pleasures for a higher love? What drives a person to leave behind comfort and temptation for a spiritual journey, dedicating themselves entirely to a love beyond the material world? Explore the stories of those who have taken this path, discovering the deep longing, strong faith, and extraordinary experiences that inspire such a devotion to the divine. Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, Naseeha Studio. Today in this video we will be talking about one of the earliest Sufi mystics and an influential religious figure, Rabia Basri. Rabia al-Basri's life began under a veil of mystery and divine providence. Born in the bustling city of Basra, Iraq, during the early 8th century, her arrival in the world was marked by extraordinary signs that foretold her remarkable destiny, a prophetic dream. Rābia was the fourth daughter of a deeply devout but impoverished family. Her parents, although struggling to make ends meet, instilled in their children a profound love and reverence for God. On the night Rābia was born, her mother had a vivid dream. In this dream, she saw the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who spoke to her with a comforting presence. He assured her that their newborn daughter was destined for greatness and would one day illuminate the world with her spiritual light. Awakening with a sense of awe, Rābia's mother shared the dream with her husband. Though they were still beset by the harsh realities of their poverty, this dream provided them with a glimmer of hope and a belief that their child was special. Signs of divine favor. From a young age, Rābia exhibited signs that she was not an ordinary child. It is said that when she was a mere infant, a mystical light often surrounded her as she lay in her cradle. Her parents, though poor, never wavered in their faith and saw these occurrences as affirmations of the prophetic dream. However, their faith was continually tested. One year, Basra experienced a severe famine. Food became scarce, and Rābia's family struggled to survive. Despite these hardships, Rābia's father remained steadfast in his belief that his daughter's future was guided by divine will. Orphaned and alone, tragedy struck when Rābia was still a child. Her parents passed away, leaving her and her sisters orphaned. The four girls were left to fend for themselves in a world that offered little support for young, destitute children. Rābia, the youngest, faced the brunt of these challenges. The sisters were eventually separated, and Rābia found herself alone and vulnerable. In her desperate state, she was captured by slave traders and sold into bondage. The circumstances of her enslavement were harsh and unforgiving. Her new master, recognizing her youth and apparent frailty, assigned her grueling tasks far beyond her physical capabilities. The light in darkness. Despite the cruel conditions of her servitude, Rābia's faith never wavered. She found solace in her nightly prayers, often spending hours in devotion while others slept. Her unwavering commitment to her spiritual practices began to attract attention. One night, her master witnessed a miraculous sight. As Rābia prayed, a radiant light enveloped her, illuminating the room in a divine glow. Astonished and filled with awe, her master realized that Rābia was no ordinary slave. This moment of divine revelation profoundly impacted him. Stricken with guilt for the way he had treated her, and recognizing her spiritual significance, he decided to grant her freedom. A new beginning. With her newfound freedom, Rābia was determined to dedicate her life entirely to God. She adopted an ascetic lifestyle, renouncing all worldly possessions and desires. Her days were filled with fasting and prayer, and her nights were spent in deep contemplation and worship. Rābia's devotion and spiritual discipline quickly earned her a reputation for holiness. People began to seek her out, drawn by her profound wisdom and the serene aura that surrounded her. Yet, despite her growing fame, Rābia remained humble and focused solely on her relationship with the divine. The path ahead. Rābia's early years set the stage for her extraordinary life of devotion and spiritual enlightenment. The trials and tribulations she faced only served to strengthen her faith and deepen her commitment to God. Her journey from the depths of poverty and slavery to becoming one of the most revered mystics in Islamic history is a testament to the power of unwavering faith and divine love. As Rābia moved forward on her spiritual path, she would continue to inspire and guide countless others, leaving an indelible mark on the world and solidifying her legacy as a beacon of divine love and piety. The trials of slavery. Rabia al-Basri's journey from the freedom of childhood to the chains of slavery is a harrowing tale of endurance, faith, and divine favor. Her time in bondage not only tested her resilience, but also illuminated her unwavering devotion to God, setting the stage for her future as a revered mystic. Captured and enslaved. As Rābia grew older, the harsh realities of her family's poverty became increasingly apparent. The The death of her parents had left her and her sisters vulnerable and exposed to the dangers of a world where orphaned girls had few protections. One fateful day, while wandering in search of food and shelter, Rābia was captured by slave traders. Torn from her remaining family, she was sold into slavery, a common and tragic fate for many in her position. Rābia's new life was one of relentless labor and suffering. Her master, a man driven by greed and devoid of compassion, imposed grueling tasks upon her. She was forced to perform back-breaking work from dawn until dusk, with little respite. Her body bore the scars of her master's cruelty, but her spirit remained unbroken. Divine solace. Despite the harshness of her physical existence, Rābia found solace in her faith. Each night, after the day's labor was done, she would retreat to a quiet corner to pray. Her prayers were not mere supplications. They were profound conversations with the divine, filled with an intense longing for God's presence. Her unwavering faith became her sanctuary, a place where her soul could transcend the physical and connect with the spiritual. One night, as she knelt in prayer, her master happened to pass by. He was struck by an otherworldly light emanating from the room where Rābia prayed. This ethereal glow, radiating from her very being, filled him with awe and fear. He realized that Rābia was not an ordinary slave, but someone touched by divine grace. A change of heart. The sight of Rābia bathed in divine light profoundly affected her master. The hardness of his heart began to soften, and he recognized the spiritual magnitude of the young slave girl. Stricken with remorse for the way he had treated her and fearful of divine retribution, he decided to set her free. Rābia's emancipation marked the end of her physical bondage, but the beginning of a new chapter in her spiritual journey. Her time in slavery had been a crucible that tested and strengthened her faith, purifying her soul and preparing her for the life of devotion that lay ahead. A life of asceticism. With her newfound freedom, Rābia chose a life of asceticism. She rejected all worldly attachments, including material possessions and social relationships, dedicating herself entirely to God. She lived in seclusion, spending her days in fasting and her nights in prayer. Her home became a sanctuary of devotion, where the divine presence was palpably felt. Rābia's reputation for piety and wisdom began to spread. People from all walks of life sought her counsel, drawn by the serenity and spiritual depth that radiated from her. Despite her growing fame, Rābia remained humble and focused on her singular goal, to love and serve God with every fiber of her being. Lessons from slavery. Rābia's experiences as a slave had taught her invaluable lessons. She had learned the transient nature of worldly suffering and the eternal comfort of divine love. Her trials had instilled in her a profound empathy for those who suffered and a deep sense of gratitude for God's mercy and grace. Her teachings often reflected these insights. She would remind her followers that true freedom comes not from physical liberation, but from the soul's release from worldly attachments. She emphasized that divine love is the only true refuge in a world filled with suffering and impermanence. A beacon of hope. Rābia's story of endurance and faith continues to inspire countless people. Her journey from slavery to spiritual enlightenment serves as a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit and the transformative power of divine love. She stands as a beacon of hope for those facing their own trials, demonstrating that even in the darkest of times, faith and devotion can lead to liberation and enlightenment. Rabia al-Basri's life, marked by profound suffering and equally profound faith, is a reminder that the trials we face can be the very crucible that shapes our souls, drawing us closer to the divine and illuminating our path to spiritual fulfillment. Embracing asceticism. After gaining her freedom, Rabia al-Basri's journey towards spiritual enlightenment took a definitive turn as she embraced an ascetic lifestyle. Her decision to renounce worldly pleasures and dedicate herself entirely to God was driven by a deep, unyielding love for the divine. This chapter of her life reveals how her ascetic practices and profound devotion shaped her path as one of the most revered mystics in Islamic history. A vow of poverty. Rabia's first act of independence was to take a vow of poverty. She believed that material possessions and worldly attachments were distractions from her ultimate goal, union with God. Unlike many ascetics of her time, Rabia's rejection of worldly goods was not born of disdain for the material world, but from a desire to purify her heart and soul for the divine. She lived in a small, simple dwelling, possessing only the bare essentials needed to survive. Her daily routine was rigorous and disciplined. Rabia spent her days in fasting and contemplation, often going without food or drink for extended periods. Her nights were dedicated to prayer and worship, sometimes spending entire nights in prostration. This rigorous lifestyle, though physically demanding, brought her immense spiritual fulfillment and a profound sense of closeness to God. Solitude and contemplation. Rabia chose a life of solitude to avoid distractions and deepen her relationship with God. She retreated into the desert, where she lived for many years in complete seclusion. The vast, empty landscape became her sanctuary, a place where she could commune with the divine without interruption. In the desert, Rabia's contemplative practices flourished. She spent hours meditating on the nature of God, reflecting on His attributes and the mysteries of creation. This deep contemplation allowed her to develop a unique understanding of divine love, which became the cornerstone of her teachings. Divine love. Central to Rabia's spiritual philosophy was the concept of divine love. She believed that true devotion to God should be motivated solely by love, not by fear of hell or desire for heaven. Rabia's famous prayer reflects this belief. "O my Lord, if I worship Thee from fear of hell, burn me in hell, and if I worship Thee in hope of paradise, exclude me from paradise. But if I worship Thee for Thine own sake, withhold not Thine everlasting beauty." Rabia's emphasis on love as the purest form of devotion set her apart from many of her contemporaries. She taught that the highest form of worship was to love God for His own sake, without any expectation of reward or fear of punishment. This philosophy resonated deeply with her followers and has continued to influence Islamic mysticism through the ages. Miracles and wonders. As Rabia's spiritual stature grew, so did the stories of her miraculous abilities. Many accounts of her life include tales of divine intervention and supernatural occurrences. One such story recounts how Rabia was once invited to a banquet. When she arrived, she was asked to pray for the food. As she did, the food miraculously multiplied, feeding all the guests with plenty left over. Another story tells of a time when Rabia, while deep in prayer, was surrounded by a dazzling light, brighter than the sun, which could be seen from miles away. These miracles were not merely displays of supernatural power, but were seen as manifestations of Rabia's profound connection with the divine. They reinforced her reputation as a holy woman and attracted even more seekers to her teachings. Wisdom and teachings. Despite her secluded lifestyle, Rabia's wisdom and teachings spread far and wide. Pilgrims and seekers of knowledge traveled great distances to sit at her feet and learn from her. Rabia's teachings were simple yet profound, emphasizing sincerity in worship, the importance of inner purity, and the necessity of detachment from worldly desires. She often engaged in spiritual dialogues with other renowned mystics and scholars of her time. These interactions further solidified her status as a spiritual authority. Despite her profound insights and growing influence, Rabia remained humble, attributing all her wisdom and abilities to the grace of God. A legacy of devotion. Rabia al-Basri's embrace of asceticism and her unwavering devotion to God left an indelible mark on the spiritual landscape of her time. Her life of poverty, solitude, and relentless pursuit of divine love serves as an enduring example of what it means to live a life wholly dedicated to the divine. Her teachings continue to inspire and guide those seeking a deeper connection with God, demonstrating that true spiritual fulfillment comes not from external achievements, but from an inner state of pure, unconditional love for the Creator. Rabia's legacy is a testament to the transformative power of divine love and the heights of spiritual enlightenment that can be achieved through sincere devotion and ascetic discipline. The desert years. Rabia al-Basri's retreat into the desert marked the most intense period of her spiritual growth. Seeking solitude, she left behind the noise and distractions of the world to live in the vast, silent expanses of the desert. Here, she could dedicate herself fully to God, away from the trappings of society. The harsh desert environment mirrored the ascetic life Rabia chose to lead. She had no permanent shelter, relying on the natural landscape for protection from the elements. Food and water were scarce, but Rabia trusted in God's provision. She believed that true devotion required complete reliance on the divine, and the desert offered the perfect setting for this. Living in such isolation brought Rabia into close contact with nature. She saw the desert's beauty and its challenges as reflections of God's majesty. Her interactions with the natural world were marked by a profound sense of unity with creation. It is said that wild animals, sensing her sanctity, would approach her without fear, On one occasion, a lion stood guard while she prayed, further symbolizing her deep connection with the divine. Rabia's time in the desert was filled with mystical experiences. She often felt enveloped by a radiant light during her prayers, a sign of divine presence. One night, she had a vision of paradise, but in her humility, she asked to return to her earthly mission of guiding others towards God's love. These experiences deepened her understanding of divine love and reinforced her commitment to her ascetic path. Despite her desire for solitude, Rabia's reputation as a mystic attracted many visitors. Pilgrims and seekers traveled great distances to learn from her. She welcomed them with kindness, sharing her insights and guiding them on their spiritual journeys. One notable visitor was Hassan al-Basri, a renowned Sufi scholar. Their deep conversations highlighted Rabia's profound knowledge and understanding. When Hassan asked how she had attained such spiritual heights, she simply replied that she had lost herself entirely in the love of God. Rabia's years in the desert were also marked by miraculous events. Travelers who had lost their way found her, and through her prayers, they were saved. In one instance, a spring of fresh water miraculously appeared, providing life-saving relief. During a famine, her prayers brought rain, ending the suffering of a community. These miracles were seen as signs of her deep connection with God. Through her ascetic practices and deep contemplation, Rabia underwent a profound inner transformation. She taught that true spiritual growth came from within, and that rituals were only meaningful when accompanied by sincere devotion and love for God. Her teachings emphasized the essence of divine love, inner purity, and complete surrender to God's will. These messages resonated deeply with those who sought her guidance and continue to inspire spiritual seekers today. Rabia al-Basri's desert years were a testament to her unwavering dedication to God and her commitment to a life of pure, unconditional love. Her experiences and teachings from this period have left a lasting legacy, shaping Islamic mysticism and inspiring countless individuals on their spiritual paths. Her life in the desert serves as a powerful reminder that true enlightenment comes from a deep, personal relationship with the divine, nurtured through solitude, contemplation, and unwavering faith. The miracles of Rabia. Rabia al-Basri's life was marked by numerous miraculous events that reinforced her status as a holy woman deeply connected to the divine. These miracles were not just supernatural occurrences, but were seen as manifestations of her profound spiritual connection and her unwavering faith in God. One of the most famous miracles attributed to Rabia occurred during her journey to Mecca. Setting out on foot, she traversed the harsh desert with nothing but her faith to sustain her. It is said that she walked across the scorching sands, unaffected by the intense heat. When questioned about her endurance, Rabia responded that she was carried by divine love, which shielded her from the elements. This miracle demonstrated her deep reliance on God and her ability to transcend physical limitations through spiritual devotion. Another well-known miracle involves an encounter with Hassan al-Basri during a severe drought. The people of Basra, suffering from the lack of rain, sought Hassan's help. He, in turn, approached Rabia, asking for her prayers. Instead of praying directly for rain, Rabia handed Hassan a lamp and asked him to light it with his breath. When he was unable to do so, Rabia took the lamp, blew on it, and it ignited. She explained that true spiritual power comes from sincere devotion and pure love for God, not from mere supplication. Rabia's miracles often involved simple, everyday items transformed by her faith. In one instance, she was invited to a banquet where the host asked her to bless the food. As she prayed, the food miraculously multiplied, feeding all the guests with plenty left over. This miracle highlighted Rabia's ability to invoke divine blessings through her pure and unwavering faith. Her interactions with nature also showcased her miraculous abilities. It is said that while living in the desert, a group of travelers lost their way and stumbled upon Rabia. Parched and near death, they pleaded for her help. Rabia prayed, and miraculously, a spring of fresh water emerged from the barren ground, saving their lives. This event reinforced the belief that Rabia's prayers could invoke divine intervention to provide for those in need. Another miraculous event involved a famine-stricken community. The people, desperate for relief, sought Rabia's intervention. She prayed fervently, and soon after, rain fell, revitalizing the land and ending the famine. This miracle demonstrated her deep connection with God and her ability to channel divine mercy to alleviate suffering. Rabia's miracles were not limited to grand, supernatural occurrences. They also included profound moments of personal transformation. Many who sought her guidance experienced deep spiritual awakenings and healing. Her words and prayers had a transformative effect, leading individuals to a greater understanding of divine love and a deeper commitment to their faith. Despite the miraculous events surrounding her, Rabia remained humble. She attributed all her abilities and the miracles that occurred to God's grace, emphasizing that she was merely a vessel for divine love and mercy. Her life was a testament to the power of sincere devotion and the boundless possibilities that come from a deep, personal relationship with the divine. Rabia al-Basri's miracles continue to inspire and uplift those who hear her story. They serve as powerful reminders of the potential for divine intervention in everyday life and the extraordinary outcomes that can arise from unwavering faith and love for God. Her legacy, marked by these miraculous events, underscores the transformative power of spirituality and the profound impact of living a life dedicated to the divine. Wisdom and teachings. Rabia al-Basri's wisdom and teachings have left an enduring legacy in the world of Islamic mysticism. Her profound insights into the nature of divine love, the essence of worship, and the path to spiritual enlightenment continue to inspire and guide countless seekers of truth. Rabia's philosophy was centered on the idea of pure, unconditional love for God. She believed that true devotion should be motivated solely by love for the divine, rather than fear of hell or the desire for paradise. One of her most famous sayings encapsulates this belief: "O my Lord, if I worship thee from fear of hell, burn me in hell, and if I worship thee in hope of paradise, exclude me from paradise. But if I worship thee for thine own sake, withhold not thine everlasting beauty." This radical approach to worship emphasized the importance of loving God for his own sake, rather than for any personal gain. Rabia's teachings also highlighted the necessity of inner purity and sincerity in worship. She stressed that external rituals and practices were meaningless unless they were accompanied by a genuine, heartfelt connection to God. She often spoke about the importance of removing any selfish desires or ulterior motives from one's devotion, urging her followers to seek God with a pure heart and a single-minded focus. In her dialogues with other mystics and scholars, Rabia displayed an extraordinary depth of knowledge and spiritual insight. One well-documented exchange involved the Sufi scholar Hassan al-Basri. When Hassan asked Rabia how she had attained such a high spiritual state, she replied that she had achieved it by losing herself entirely in the love of God. This simple yet profound statement encapsulated her belief that true spiritual growth comes from complete surrender to the divine. Rabia's emphasis on love, as the foundation of spirituality, was reflected in her poetry and sayings. She often used the metaphor of the lover and the beloved to describe the relationship between the devotee and God. In one of her poems, she wrote, "I have loved thee with two loves, a selfish love and a love that is worthy of thee. As for the love which is selfish, I occupy myself therein with remembrance of thee to the exclusion of all others. But in the love which is worthy of thee, thou dost raise the veil that I may see thee. Yet is the praise not mine in this or that, but the praise is to thee in both that and this." Despite her emphasis on detachment and asceticism, Rabia was known for her compassion and empathy towards others. She believed that spiritual growth was not just a personal journey, but also involved helping others on their path. Her humility and kindness made her a beloved figure among those who sought her guidance. She would often counsel her followers to be patient and gentle with themselves and others, emphasizing that the path to God was a journey that required both perseverance and compassion. Rabia's teachings have had a lasting impact on Islamic mysticism and Sufism. Her emphasis on divine love, inner purity, and detachment from worldly concerns has influenced countless mystics and spiritual seekers over the centuries. Her life and teachings continue to be studied and revered, providing a source of inspiration and guidance for those seeking a deeper connection with the divine. The legacy of Rabia. Rabia al-Basri passed away in 801 CE, but her legacy lives on. She is considered one of the first female saints of Islam and a pivotal figure in the development of Sufism. Her life story, characterized by unwavering devotion and miraculous events, serves as a testament to the power of pure, unadulterated love for the divine. Rabia's impact on Islamic mysticism cannot be overstated. She paved the way for future generations of Sufi saints and scholars, demonstrating that spiritual greatness transcends gender and social status. Her teachings on divine love continue to resonate, reminding us of the profound connection between the human soul and its creator. Rabia al-Basri's life is a shining example of asceticism and devotion. Her unwavering faith and profound love for God have left an indelible mark on the spiritual world. Her story challenges us to reflect on our own spiritual journeys and consider what it truly means to love and seek the divine. In the end, Rabia's life asks us a question that resonates through the ages. What could drive a person to forsake all worldly pleasures in pursuit of a higher love? Her life and teachings offer an answer that continues to inspire and illuminate the path for countless seekers of truth. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. If you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more content celebrating the Islamic heritage. Your support really helps spread these important stories and teachings. We hope that Allah brings peace, happiness, and success to you and your family.